do you think was better in the second half from the first?
I thought we settled down and were able to execute within our offense. We also moved their big away from the rim. I mixed up the offense a little bit to try to get, like I said, their 5 man away from the rim so they couldn't, block our shot and try to adjust some of the things we were doing. So I thought the offensive adjustment helped us. I thought we settled down to their pressure. Once we got it in, we had different people bringing it up, and once we beat the press, we kind of settled in and were able to attack in a smarter way instead of taking rush shots, which is what they initially wanted.
Yeah, just from watching, the game on TV, it seemed like why her presence really helped maybe calm the team down some, especially against the press break. Just what did you think of her and her first action this year?
I mean, this is the first time she's gotten action and she just started getting reps a couple of days ago. So I thought she did phenomenal. Once she gets comfortable back out there and her teammates and everyone gets comfortable, she is so calming. She is a leader. She can score, but she can really defend. And so just having her presence in there is it's definitely going to be a huge benefit to us moving forward. We just got to make sure that we settle in and do what we do.
Obviously, you prep for what Texas Tech throws at you with their defense and kind of that swarming that they do. But like, how much of adjustment is that in the game that the team has to make just whenever you see it live for the first time?
I definitely think in the game you do have to make quick adjustments. I thought we did a pretty decent job of making those adjustments, probably more so in the second half than in the first half. But I thought, once you get in that live game, it's different. No matter how much we prep for it or put them in that situation, live game's always going to be a little bit different. So once they settled down and we made those adjustments, I thought we handled it well. I just wish we would have settled down a little sooner.
Yeah. And then how tough of just a matchup was Collins for y'all? It seemed like every time they might have needed a bucket, she came up big for them.
Oh, she definitely did. I mean, she can score so well around the rim. I thought when we guarded her and forced her to the help, we did a much better job because she didn't like that. But there were a few possessions where we gave her that baseline, which is exactly what she wants, because she can kiss it off the glass so easily. So, we just have to do a better job of executing the game plan when it comes to those moments.
Yeah, you look at the box score and you only had 5 turnovers in the second half compared to, I think, maybe 14 or so in the first half. Just what changed there?
We calmed down and we did what well, we have a lot of ball handlers, and that's what I told them. You have to calm down. And once you get past that first line, it's hard for them to come trap you. And so once we got it in and we got our guards down the floor and sprinted the floor really quick, then it made a huge difference. And then the few times that they did get a trap, we actually got the ball to the middle, we shared the ball, and now we have numbers and we're able to make something happen.
Obviously, you don't strike me as a big moral wins person, but to not to have finished the game the way that y'all did, it could have been a lot worse just with how the game was going. What do you think that does for this team, at least moving on to the next? Because you got to have such short-term memory.
The fact that we were able to battle back. I mean, there was a point when we were down, significantly, and the fact that we continued to battle. But when what I told him in the locker room is, there's a lot of fixable things. We can't have that, like you said, we can't have 14 turnovers in the first half. We can't. We can't miss, 8 to 10 dink shots in a game. And then we've got to make sure that we communicate defensively. We guarded their sets really well, but then a few times when they ran something a little different, we know how to guard that action and we failed to communicate. So our communication level has to really elevate and escalate at this point in order for us to get big stops. And then players got to make plays. I mean, when they needed a big shot, they stepped up and hit a big shot. We got some open looks. We got to knock down those same shots in return. There are moments where you got to trade buckets and we got to have to rise to that occasion.
Yeah, it's happened several times this year, but how much of an adjustment is it for your players to pick up on how the game is being officiated with at least the offensive fouls early and then kind of learning how to not, because they've gotten better each time, it feels like, after maybe the first flurry of picking up some.
I think that's something we watch film on. They just have to really make that register quicker. I understand, like I tell our players, I love the fact that you're aggressive and you're trying to get to the rim, but then you have to be smart about it. If they're going to overhelp and they're going to over rotate, we just have to jump stop early and share the basketball. We have to be better facilitators. And if we can get the ball shifted early in the first few possessions, I think it will help us settle down. And that's definitely something we're going to work on and focus on.
Last one I'll ask you is just how did you see Talea's maybe just experience and maturity help y'all with your comeback attempt in the second half?
She's just gritty. I mean, sometimes when you need a bucket, she's going to find a way to get you one. And, I think her guarding, she does a lot of things because she communicates, she sees things, but just the fact that she's going to find a way to score when we need a bucket, just her maturity. She's a three-level scorer, and the fact that, she plays really confident, that's definitely going to help us. It helped us today in trying to make that little comeback. And then I think it's going to help us throughout this entire season.